Hey everybody, and welcome to Northernlion Plays Hollow Knight. I was thinking around, and I was like, what should we play? We got a lot of Isaac. XCOM is still sort of going, but also maybe in a little bit of a holding pattern, and Oxygen Not Included has just ended its second colony. And then it dawned on me, first off, many people gave me great suggestions, like Hollow Knight, for example, but I thought, instead of playing another sandboxy survival type game like going back to RimWorld, which I fully intend to do at some point, or doing another Oxygen Not Included colony, why don't I get back to doing something I did a little bit last year, which was play these semi-shortish, and I understand Hollow Knight doesn't really fit into that category, but one-off series of games that are critically acclaimed, interesting to me, and also have a beginning and an ending, which is really nice for me to do as a change of pace for these series. Hollow Knight, genuinely in contention for Nick's Game of the Year, I think. It's come with praise on high from pretty much everybody who's played this, so I figured, you know what, I want to be part of the conversation, let's play it. I bought it on Steam, it was $15 USD, $17 Canadian, but I'm not sweating it. I'm just happy. You know, I'll make it up on the back end with a doctor's appointment later this year. Anyway, start game. I played, you know, as you can see up here, about 20 minutes. What's the gist of Hollow Knight? What's the elevator pitch? Beautiful, hand-drawn, moody, atmospheric, rich tone Metroidvania. It's Guacamelee as made by Tim Burton, but with a Charlie Kaufman soul. I don't know if that metaphor makes any sense. Also, we're on the same boat here because if you haven't seen any Hollow Knight, I accidentally skipped this opening cutscene the first time that I vetted the game, so I basically have no idea what the story is as well. Reminds me a little bit of, La Mulana is not the perfect explanation for it as well, but it's kind of La Mulana-esque in that it's got like an overworld town, or like a hub world town where you can, you know, go back to at times, and then you go back into this cavern to explore a little bit more. Almost like a more moody SteamWorld dig would be another way to think of it, I suppose. But you know, you're gonna get a feel for the aesthetic of the game at the very least. And I mean, again, I only played about 20 minutes so far, but I feel like it's a little Dark Souls-y. But this isn't so much a critique as just in terms of its design, it's a little Dark Souls-y, it seems. This isn't meant to be so much of a critique as it is meant to be, you know, an experiential thing where we all go through the game together. So if you've played this and you've beaten it yourself, double entendre, resist the urge to spoil, please. I have heard that if you want to 100% this game or get close to it, it's going to take like 30 hours. I'm not that kind of guy, so I'm thinking we're probably going to be in maybe the less than 30 hours camp, but I'm also sometimes occasionally sort of a moron, and it's a game about, or with exploration as one of its core mechanics as well, so we'll see how things go here. But yeah, you know, like last year we played Inside, Quadrilateral Cowboy. Hitman, even to a lesser extent, was sort of in this camp. I'm interested in playing stuff that's more, not linear, because linear is actually like the exact opposite of what's going on in this game, but closed-ended, if that makes sense. It's less sandboxy and more like a complete experience from top to bottom, if that makes sense. So we get started here. I have played through this. This is the just the tutorial level, and it does a really good job of explaining, you know, the basic mechanics of what you need to do in order to survive and thrive in Hollow Knight. You might say, you know, we didn't really get much of an introduction there. I think that's the point, and that's where I kind of get that the game has a bit of a Dark Souls badge that it wears on its sleeve. You know, you kind of infer what's happening in the story, at least so far. There's been dialogue, but it's never been like, hello, I'm the mayor of, you know, Bumtown, and all the penis goblins have invaded. Look, that's needlessly crass for a game that's more, it deserves a higher order of praise than that. I'm using the controller here as well. So let's talk about what we got going on here as the credits go by here. Basically, we play as this gentleman, or lady. I'm going to assume that this is the Hollow Knight, but I can't say for certain. Very minimalistic UI. Top left, that shimmering sort of orb is your spirit, or your soul. And when you get hurt, you can channel your spirit, or your soul, and it can fill up those HP containers, which are right next to it. So, kill enemies, refresh your, like, you know, Legacy of Kain-style meter, and then you charge up, which requires you to stand still for a minute, almost like an Estus flask. And you're vulnerable during that time, but if you do it for long enough, you heal. And then we also get these, I don't know what I'm going to call them. Just call them barnacles for now, because that's sort of what they look like to me. These barnacles represent currency, and you actually do use that currency to buy stuff. And again, the game is a Metroidvania. Almost missed one there. The game is a Metroidvania, so I'm assuming that you buy upgrades at some point, but the only thing that I have bought thus far is a map. You do have well, traps, obviously, as you can see right there. You do have the ability to attack in any direction. Or at least the ability to attack in 3 directions. And then if up in the air, you can also attack down, as well as up and, you know, left and right, etc., etc. I'm assuming we'll probably get more than that as time goes on. Looks like a freaking endoplasmic reticulum. Higher beings, these words are for you alone. Your great strength marks you amongst us. Focus your soul, and you shall achieve feats of which others can only dream. Collect soul by striking enemies. Once enough soul is collected, hold B to focus soul and heal. So now we'll actually encounter some enemies. Now, I'll admit that I've heard, and from what I've seen, I watched Rob play a little bit on Twitch, but not enough to spoil anything. The game does have parts of it that actually get pretty mechanically intensive. I haven't actually experienced that for myself. So far, the game has been relatively easy. Like, every enemy just takes a couple of hits to die, but we lost a... you know, RIP 100% right there. I'm very lucky we didn't get hit there. But we have so much soul right now that it really doesn't matter if we get hit a little bit. I mean, that's what the soul is there for. But I'm assuming that later maybe we'll use that to charge up special abilities as well. Go back down for this. Now, I'm not going to be too much of a completionist, you know, getting every single coin that we can find in the game. At least I say that right now. But this game seems to be... like, casting its spell onto people. I almost get a little bit of, like, a cave story vibe as well. Like, it's cave story, but, like, much more macabre, I suppose. Now, this thing is, like, a big ol', you know, spirit heart kind of enabler here. You know, by smacking that, we're able to get 2 spirit hearts. So I think it's just their way of teaching that mechanic, but I've never actually used them in-game, because as soon as you rest, you actually lose your spirit heart. But maybe that's exactly what the... Oh! Forgot about that. Maybe that's exactly what the game is trying to accomplish. So this is where you're like, okay, it's a Metroidvania. You know, if you're not familiar with what a Metroidvania is, it's basically a game where you have... If I'm going to simplify it as much as I think I conceivably can, you're going to see things that you cannot surmount. Like, for example, this right here, I have no dash in the air. I don't think I can make that jump. And as you can see, like, if you fall on the spikes, you respawn from the origin point of where you started your jump. So, it's a big open map, but some paths on it are closed off to you based on the fact that you don't have the necessary abilities to take advantage of them yet. So, you know, you'll see things as you progress through the game that you aren't able to access until you get a specific ability that'll come later, and then you know, the map kind of like folds in on itself, I guess, in that sense. Higher beings, these words are for you alone. Beyond this point, you enter the land of King and Creator. Step across this threshold and obey our laws. Bear witness to the last and only civilization, the Eternal Kingdom, Hollow Nest. Don't mind if I do. Almost like, I don't know, because, like, the H.R. Geiger reference might seem a little forced here, but all of this, like, shellfish, like, mollusk sort of, like, xenobiology, like, at the mouths of madness sort of architecture that we got going on here. I'm just gonna say, it sort of looks like a big old clam butthole in the background. And I don't mean that to be crass, I mean that to be evocative of, you know, the H.R. Geigerisms, but also just a really, really cool and intriguing bit of world building as well. Because you think, like, at first you're like, okay, you start the game, spawn into a cave, very original, but then you're like, you know, this is like an actual town populated by actual people here. Well, you know, actual elder bugs. Ho there, traveler. I'm afraid there's only me left to offer welcome. Our town's fallen quiet, you see. The other residents, they've all disappeared, headed down that well one by one into the caverns below. Used to be there was a great kingdom beneath our town. It's long fell to ruin, yet it still draws folks into its depths. Wealth, glory, enlightenment, that darkness seemed to promise all things. I'm sure you too seek your dreams down there. Well, watch out. It's a sickly air that fills this place. Creatures turn mad and travelers are robbed of their memories. Perhaps dreams aren't such great things after all. Ooh, deep. We'll rest, and I'm assuming that the rest functions as a save point as well. For all your mapping supplies, we'll be opening soon, Iselda and Cornifer. And then I just jumped into the well the first time that I played, but what happens if you go further? I'm hoping this isn't like your Dark Souls graveyard moment where you get your butt kicked over here. A stone door with a simple lock. If again, this is sight unseen, so if I call it, I want you to tell me that I called it. If that ends up being like the door to the second half of the game or something like that, or if it's even where the final boss has resided this whole time, don't tell me, but feel free to commend my genius. Alright, so we're starting in the Forgotten Crossroads here. I will say that if I have, like, one minor complaint about the early stages of the game, I am like, it's a little too easy. But I also like that the enemies look so much... First off, I'm assuming they crank it up a little bit later, because I've seen people that I respect playing video games and struggling with this. But then also, the little, like, scarab beetles here look a little bit like Indie Mouse. So, you know, ever since he made that hit piece, that, you know, top 5 Northernlion videos, slanderous bit of investigative journalism assassination attempt, you know, it always gives me a little bit of a hard-on to just stab him with the pointy stick here. So, I'm gonna be honest with you, I have very little idea where I'm supposed to be going here. I have encountered Jamie Heineman just sobbing it up in here. This room does have just has a wall at the end, so I'm assuming at some point we'll figure out what this dude's doing inside of all these broken down eggshells, and we'll be able to maybe Scribblenauts him some sort of solution to get him out of his problem. Take that. Look, I didn't make up the Indie Mouse comparison. You're seeing it, I guarantee it. So I have been to some of these rooms, and I've made a little bit of progress, but for the most part, I'm going to be just walking around here, not walking around the Christmas tree, but trying to figure out where we're supposed to go, and we're going to go on this journey together. Travelers of Hallow Nest descend through verdant wilds and fungal groves to the city at this kingdom's heart. There all wishes shall be granted, all truths revealed. How happy is the blameless vessel's lot, etc., etc. Ah, okay. I remember this guy. We got Roll Armadillo from Mega Man X, and he spits this stuff at me, and I keep trying to hit it back, because if I ever get close enough to hit him, you know, he just doesn't take any damage. That's the universal video game sign for not taking damage, but I feel like I'm making connections on these. Surely you have to hit these back at him. It's the only way that this makes sense, but it's not getting the job done right now. So I'm assuming that this is a gate that eventually we'll be able to get past. So just keep that in mind. This rhyme I designed to explain in due time. I also keep missing these jumps, which I assure you is more embarrassing for me than it is for you. The controls are fine, I'm just an idiot. Sometimes, like, you know, you just know... It's hard to describe good controls, you just know them when you see them. It's like the Supreme Court ruling on pornography. These are actually, like, they feel like tight controls. Not to insult, you know, an entire demographic of developers, but it doesn't feel like an average Xbox Live indie game. I'm not talking about Xbox Live Arcade, I'm talking about XBLIG. I was there, I was on the forefront. What I like about this is, it's not necessarily that uncommon these days, but I like a Metroidvania, like, action game that actually has real characters throughout the world. And also, I think this might be Pyrian Flax. I have a fondness for not, like, I'm not saying Pyrian Flax looks like a bald bug with no pupils, but the voice sounded like exactly like it. I have a fondness for exploring myself, getting lost and finding your way is a pleasure like no other. We're exquisitely lucky, you and I. I'm a cartographer by trade, and I'm working on mapping this area right now. Would you like to buy a copy of my work so far? Purchase a map? Yes. I feel like there is no reason you could possibly have for the game giving you a map and you saying no to it, unless you're being very short-sighted. A map can be a very useful thing, but it alone won't show you where you are. If you've not had the head for directions, I suggest purchasing a compass from my wife, Izelda. That seems like a smart idea. She's just now opening our new map shop in Dirtmouth. Is it Dirtmouth? It seems like it should be Dirtmouth, but I understand you in the UK might argue with me. Selling all sorts of useful things to wanderers like yourself. She'll even sell some of my old maps from time to time. I pop back to see her whenever I finish mapping an area. She's always so excited to see me. Well, good for you, buddy. So if we look at our map here, we can see the world, but we can't see where we are. So we actually need the compass in order to know that. So we've only got, you know, one part of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle here. Now, I love myself. I really do. I would love myself a little bit more if I could make a single jump. Like, I'm a little embarrassed, but that was a good opportunity to show you the healing animation right there at the very least. Alright, now with the map, we can sort of infer where we are, I think. Maybe? Maybe not. I'm not sure. I'm assuming that... Okay, like, if I look at this map, can I get my mouse pointer on the screen right now? I cannot get my mouse pointer on the screen. Okay, in the southwest corner, I'm assuming that's where the man is. Like, that's where the map man is. So I am the room to the left of that. And I'm assuming that maybe that's like a save point or something. The thing that looks like Cthulhu's tentacle bench. And then the boss maybe is that that thing that looks sort of like me. I know what you're thinking. Maybe you're the thing that looks sort of like you. Then I tell you, you need the compass to know where you are. So we're going to use that as a kind of inference to maybe figure out where we're supposed to go here. So I can't access that thing, I think. We can hit it and actually knock some of the coins out. But if this thing touches me, it will hurt me. So be aware of that. And we can't hurt it as well. By the way, very, very soon, we will be in blind territory. I mean, we're at like 15 minutes into this episode. I've only played 18 minutes of the game so far. So pretty soon we'll be in like completely unknown territory. The game is beautiful as well. Like, that's the most striking thing right off the bat. When I first started playing it, I was like, yeah, you know, seems like a Metroidvania. I'm not, oh, wait a minute. This is, I got this guy before, but it didn't click on me. Maybe this is like Little Walrus Buddy's, son or something. And now that I've freed him from his prison, he's gonna be happy with me and he'll give me an upgrade or something like that. We should go back and check it out. I do like Metroidvanias. I really liked, I mean, I've played Super Metroid. I've never beaten it, but I played a lot of it for having not beat it, if that makes sense. Which sounds like something you would say if your street cred was being questioned, but really, again, I'm just bad at native puzzle solving, to be honest with you. And I loved Guacamelee. Like, Guacamelee is my pick for one of my favorite Metroidvanias of all time. I realize the genre is not called Metroid Melee or Meleevanias, but still. So I'm gonna go back and see that. Excuse me. I'm gonna go back and see that dude up there and see if I can get some kind of reward for doing so. Maybe we can start to traverse the level a little bit. By destroying these, I think sometimes you might get coins or whatever you want to call the currency. I still like the idea of calling them shells. It just seems appropriate, to be honest with you. And this is very, like, Super Metroid-y, this section right here. There's a pivotal section in Super Metroid, which I'm sure you're probably more familiar with it than I am if you're watching this video, but at the same time, I'm going to do my best to explain. It's like a vertical section with a lot of platforms on it, and then branching off of those platforms are doors that you can only access once you get very specific unlocks, and it's an important moment in the game. Alright, I was correct! Thank you, my friend. But also, I was kind of hoping you'd give me like a double jump or oh, you know, teaching without teaching. It's introducing to me a brand new mechanic. And the mechanic is this guy, he's still, like, he's happy-ish. One day I will kill you. He's happy-ish, but he's still unhappy because look at all these other regs that are missing, you know, larvae right now. So we gotta go rescue more of those guys. And that strikes me as a sticky, like, collectible aspect that we're gonna try to get, as many of those guys as we can to get as much money as possible. Alright, never let anybody tell you that Mama raised a fool here. Figured that out all by my lonesome. So looking at my map, we're in the elevator section right here. If we want to figure out where the boss is, this is a new area that's actually not on his map. We want to go to that, like, the area that, if I were a boss, that's where I'd want to make my, way. Smack this up. I have like an awful... At the same time that I'm like so non-completionist, I'm also like... Get out of here. You know, tinted indie mouse. It's what you've always wanted, right? Is to have your own Northernlionism in a video? Well, you finally get your freaking wish, okay? This is all a joke. I respect indie mouse. I never saw this guy before, actually. Oh, come on. In fact, nobody respects indie mouse more than me. We might... It's tough to land this jump because I want to get it like right at the very edge, but you get like a little, you drop off faster than you might expect. I'm sorry, dude, I tried. I'll be back for you when I get a double jump or some kind of like air dash or something that makes this possible. Right now I don't have an air dash. I don't even have Jordache jeans, so you're going to be on your own. Maybe we'll get some kind of projectile I can hurl up there. I don't know. Yeah, still, we're in uncharted territory on this map. That's okay, though. I will go back and get the compass, but I'm assuming that if I don't find a bench down here, I'll probably respawn in the town anyway. Oh, I've never seen this guy. I figured that the anatomy or the physiology of the enemy, or rather maybe the morphology of the enemy, kind of gives you a clue for how you should attack them. Like if they got a big horn on the front of them, probably I'd rather attack them from above. Ooh, that was not very smart of me. Don't be alarmed, by the way. There's nothing wrong with your video. Like, the audio just not cuts out, but fades out a little bit when you have, when you've taken damage. which we've not really done too much of so far, so you can be forgiven for thinking something's up. Alright, this feels like the entrance point to like a new sub-area here. I'm eager to see what's in that, but I also want to do some exploration over here. Like, when I was talking to people about doing this series, because I do a ridiculous amount of due diligence, as you can tell. 18 minutes played before we even started the series here. No, but I was like, you know, what should I know? And they're like, well, the game is only like, if you don't want to get 100%, it's not necessarily that long. However, it's the genius of it is that you don't know where you're supposed to go right off the bat. You know, you got to take some time to figure it out for yourself. And to be honest, that kind of sold me on the game, again, in a sort of pseudo Dark Souls-y way. Oh, we can go into here. That's a little scary, but at the same time, could be sweet. Let's just see what's in one more screen this way before we... Alright, let's go check it out. You know, it's not often you get that original spirit of Dark Souls capture where they just kind of throw you into the world and go, figure it out. Figure out the rules and the language of the game for yourself. Temple of the Black Egg. How convenient. Hello there, how delightful to meet another traveler on these forgotten roads. You're a short one, but you have a strong look about you. I'm Quirrell. I have something of an obsession with uncharted places. This ancient kingdom holds many fascinating mysteries, and one of the most intriguing of them is standing right before us. A great stone egg that I previously described as a clam butthole, lying in the corpse of the ancient kingdom. And the egg, is it warm? It certainly gives off a unique air. Can it be opened? There are strange marks all over it. I feel like I'm being personally insulted. I do so love a mystery, and who knows what other marvels lie even deeper below us. Can we inspect? Smack it? Certainly there's something going on here. But the world and all of its mysteries lay out before us, you know? Like a quilt. Something Sylvia Plath. Anyway, let's go see if we can't encounter whatever that big enemy or special room is. So we haven't been... Oh, that was bad. Over in this section yet. I'm a little embarrassed by the fact that we've taken damage. And this is why I think it's important to mention that this is not La Mulana. Because if this was La Mulana, we would have died 8 times by now, and, Ooh, where is this? Did I just ascend back to the... This is back to the town. I didn't realize we were so close there. Alright, so we should have enough money to buy the compass now, which officially puts us in uncharted territory. Come to buy a map, have you? It's really my husband you should be dealing with, but what a surprise, he's headed down below. He'll pop back up occasionally to deliver new maps for the store, but I do wish he'd spend a little more time up here. I've not much interest in retail myself. Now let's see what's here for me to sell. Alright. The compass is 220. Quill. You'll need this if you want to update your map with new areas as you explore. Bench pin. These pins will mark benches and other rest spots on your map. Cocoon pin. Have you seen those beautiful blue cocoons? I made these pins so you can keep track of them. The cocoons are pretty, but very delicate. Please be careful around them. Use these pins to mark shopkeepers or any other interesting bugs you find on your travels. And hot springs. I think we should buy the quill, but we'll probably get the compass first. So let's go back down here, and I'm sure we'll just discover it naturally as we spend more time here. It's cool that, I don't know if there's a day-night cycle, but it's cool that there's like weather effects up here. Alright. We start here. Oh, that must be the temple is the thing that we touched before. So if we want to go into that area, we'll kill enemies along the way so we can get enough money. I'm trying to... It's very presumptuous of me, but I was like, I'm going to cheese this enemy. And I'm going to cheese this enemy by trying to attack him through the floor. But this ain't no ramshackle, you know, this ain't your daddy's indie game, you know? So we're going to go over to the temple side. The temple is sacred, there's nobody here. I don't know if those were the cocoons, but I have exploded them. I don't know why we would want to mark cocoons if that's what cocoons are, so I'm thinking that's something else. It would be a really cool mechanic, and I don't know if this is the case, but if we have to pin the map ourselves, that's kind of like a, you know, you might say, well, the game could do it for me for free. Yeah, sure, but it's kind of a cool tactile, deductive thing. It's a neat mechanic you don't see very often. So it seems like we should go down here. It's like genuine mapping here. And then left here? I don't think so. So we've already been left here, right? maybe we can drop down on the other area. Oh, it's, again, embarrassing, embarrassing. I might be at the wrong spot on the map, but I'm not sure. We'll figure it out for ourselves here. Like, where does that drop you down to? I'm not completely familiar. Oh, we're locked in here as well, so okay, we can't actually get through there. Again, I suppose this is what we need the quill for, but I figured, you know, let's prioritize the thing we have almost enough money for instead of the thing that, admittedly might be useful immediately and we can actually afford it, but... Just gonna take us a little while here to figure out the right direction to go, and that's okay. It's another, like, sacred area. That looks like a boss room waiting to happen. I will say, I have completely lost myself, though. Oh, no, okay. Now I do remember where we are. All right. So there's another avenue that it looked like we might be able to take to get into the boss room, and that was, like, to the right. Oh, that was really bad. Dang old rhino. Indie Mouse. If you're not familiar with Indie Mouse, he's a great content creator on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/BearTaffy, spelled B-A-E-R Taffy, and go check out his content. He'd really appreciate it. Like, I thought maybe we could do it that... Okay, I'll tell you what. We're just going to go down this way. See you later. So we got Map Man. Map Man, I'm very grateful for everything that you've given me, but I think we go right down here, and maybe this gives us access to a new area? Like, look, that thing's like, hey, the boss is over in this direction, you jerk. Or maybe it's like, attack this enemy. I don't know what the sign says, but I'm trying to read them. You know, do this, don't do that. Can't you read the signs? So we're getting introduced to a new enemy here. I think that the sack is what they're firing their projectile out of, but it might also be what gives us soul, or it might just be the game's version of blood. I'm not fully sure. So let's see what we got going on in here. A room that we cannot make progress in, and then a bunch of free shells. This will probably give us enough to purchase the compass. Yeah, we're actually getting pretty stacked here. But I don't want to finish this episode until we come across the boss fight, lest you think, you know, just a whole bunch of easy enemies and exploration. So there might be a little bit of a higher buy-in time here on episode 1, but in subsequent episodes. We'll get down and dirty real quick. Keep in mind, I mean, we had the opening cutscene at the start of this one. All sorts of business. Now, I don't need to attack you. I'm already at 239. Let's do a pacifist run. Of all the enemies ranked by creepiness, they're all pretty cute so far, but I gotta admit, the centipede that has, like, 1,000 teeth coming out of it, less cute. More on the disgusting side. I mean, still, you know, wonderful art, don't get me wrong, but a little bit on the gross side. So I have actually done this section. I had selective memory until just then, but the section's got some very, very light puzzling where we can pick up some shells for ourselves. Then go back to town. Maybe we can get the quill. I mean, what do we need? We need 340 to get the quill and the compass. Something along those lines. It's not too bad. Just take out all these enemies so that I pick up as many easy resources as possible. You never know if in the future they might be a little harder to come by, right? So I almost just went right for that one, which would have been a little bit on the downside. But again, I don't think up to this point we've really found ourselves at much risk of dying. Like, it seemed relatively easy so far to just accomplish what we have set out to accomplish. Now, do I hope that changes in the future, or do I hope that it does not change in the future? I think I hope that it changes in the future, just so things get a little bit more tense. All right, so what is that? Up to Ladder Town. And then down here is like a super sack man who summons other sack flies of his own. How can a fly that small deal that much damage? I don't know what to believe anymore. I like when you get the downwell style bounce going on. Almost called it Undertale. Maybe one day we'll check it out, but for now, you know, don't kill my vibe for Hollow Knight. That could mean that the boss is up there. I'll be the first to tell you. That might be what that means. You can jump. I feel like I've learned a lot about the world around me today. We should have charged up our HP way earlier. But we didn't. What is this? Oh, you crack it for soul? You know what? That indicates to me that we're gonna have a big fight coming. It's like giving you an ammo cache right before a boss fight in like a first-person shooter or something like that. This looks promising. Gruz Mother. Mother of dragons, mother of flies. What is that? Oh, it's like a Super Meat Boy boss fight with a sword. Okay, yeah, you know, more power to you. You got me on that one. Whoa, this is like a Super Mario Brothers 2, like 6 golden coins boss fight or something here. This is the one you fight in like the toy house. That's not really a niche reference. I mean, it is, you know, a Mario game, but at the same time, maybe not the most popular Mario game out there. Try to knock him as much as possible. There we go. That was actually surprisingly easy. That must have been a mini-boss. A little bit unfair how we just murdered him instantly. I think that reflects poorly on us for not even having a little line of dialogue first, but you know what? I want to take over his throne room that looks remarkably like the Magic the Gathering logo. Thank you so much for that. We're up to 384, which means we are fairly set, I think. Someone's laughing at me, but I can't get up there. There is a bench there. Again, the benches are like save spots. I don't know if we have to get up to town to get to a save spot. Or if maybe we can just save right here. Or maybe you don't have to save at all. What's up, buddy?
Oh, tile.
Or if you wield your nail like a club. Esme, how much deeper do we have to go? Oh, what? Who are you? I see this old village. What a strange dream to have led me down here. If you hadn't found me, I don't think I ever would have woken. I'm Sly. Usually I live an uneventful life up in Dirtmouth. The air in these ruins doesn't agree with me, so I'd best be getting back. If you return above, come and see me. I'm probably the friendliest face left there, and I can thank you properly for the good deed. Is he saying that he's going to perform some kind of sexual act on me? Because I am extremely not okay with that. Take me not to church, where I'll, you know, something at the throne of your lies. I was like, what if we just try to go straight up here? Is this the town? Train station? Something like that? It is a train station. A door with an open slot, so there's nothing we can do about that right now. It's like an old-timey train. Ooh, secret! Anyway, I'm going to call it here for now. This has been episode 1 of Hollow Knight. We're off to a little bit of a slow start, but I would determine that it is an atmospheric start. For now, if you enjoyed the episode, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. And of course, check out Hollow Knight on Steam. It's available at the link in the video description below. For now, though, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.